Good evening and welcome to Sunset News this Monday evening. As always, we bring you news, community stories, economics, weather and sports. I am Glenora Shipura. In the news tonight, South African power supplier Eskom will never return to its former glory and Namibia should look for alternatives to generate electricity. Now, Joe Marie Daddy spoke to South African economist Davy Rod during his blitz visit to Namibia this morning. He was the guest at a business breakfast hosted by Network Namibia in Windhoek. Let's take a look.
Davy, I'd like to pose a rhetorical question to you. Say, for instance, you were the governor of the Central Bank of Wakanda, and Wakanda was pegged to the South African rand. Given the volatility of the South African rand and its impact on countries that are pegged to it, would you consider depegging from the rand?
Well, there are many countries that are pegged, the currencies that are pegged to the South African rand. I will not advise countries that are currently pegged to the South African currency, the rand, to depeg from that for various reasons. One is that the South African economy is by far the biggest economy in the region. We have excellent financial systems and financial institutions in South Africa and in the region, and it's always better to be part of something bigger than to be part of something smaller. Having said that, there are some significant changes happening in the world of finance, and I think in future things like, for example, central bank digital currencies will play a far bigger role, and I think private sector digital currencies will also play a far bigger role. And in future, many currencies are simply going to disappear, and maybe in future even the South African rand will disappear. So the best I would advise the countries around South Africa is to stay with the South African currency for now, but beware of some significant technological changes that's taking place in the world of finance, and in future we might be using different kinds of currencies, and currencies that will specialize in certain things. Some currencies for savings as an example, other currencies for payments as an example, and maybe in future we will only have a few big currencies in the world, and a couple of those will probably be some private sector driven digital currencies like Bitcoin as an example as well. So the world of finance is changing, but for now my advice will be to stay with the South African currency, the rand, for now at least.
Grootfontein residents and Landless People's Movement members Cassius Namasep and Julius Khomsep handed over a petition to the police in the town this morning regarding 4 men who went missing in 2017. According to the missing men's families, they were last seen when they were picked up by the police officer driving a car with a Tsumeb registration number. The men are Bernard Nibeb, Rodney Willemse, Gershon Willemse, and Siegfried Uyrap, all of whom were in their late 20s or 30s at the time. The family said there has been no progress in the case.
Started to negotiate with the owner of the farm for the matter to be withdrawn and for them to go back to their workstation. Our brothers were then picked by the police officer by the alias name of Skelde.
Stel jezelf alsjeblieft voor. Wat is jouw naam?
Mijn naam is Steven en mijn zijn naam is Willemse, mevrouw.
Willemse, hierdie mense wat weg is, wie is hulle van jou?
Is mijn broertjes. Alleen is die is mijn broertje en die 2 is mijn neefje. Mijn eerste zuster is seuns.
Wanneer het hulle weggeraak?
Hulle is 2017 is hulle weg, 8 September.
8 September.
Ja.
Hulle weggeraak.
Hulle is geroep vir eienaar wat hulle gewerk van. Hulle het 'n hofsaak gehad van hom. So hy het vir hulle gesê, kom julle na my toe laat ons kom praat oor die saak wat julle het. So wat hulle kom by Pumakrats. Dis nie hy wat die mannetjies kom gelei het. Dis Grootfontein se Peters wat die mannetjies gelei sontoe. So ons het gekom 11 September. Toe sê hulle vir ons het nie bewys om vir hulle die goed kom aanklaar. Sê ons dis wat ons het, dis ons het bewys. Hulle sê by wie wil ons die saak oopmaak? Ons het die rede om die saak oop te maak. Toe het hulle net vir ons 'n file oopgemaak wat sê 4 manne is weg van Grootfontein af. Laat ons gehelp word om liewer ten minste bene terugkry, dat ons onze mens begraven en tevreden kan voelen. Dis wat ons probeer om help zoek voor elke persoon wat voor ons kan helpen. Alsjeblieft.
One question that has bothered the Landless People's Movement regional leadership is whether Namibia is becoming a mafia state or where citizens disappear in mysterious ways and the Namibian police is losing the plot against the prevention of crime on fast pace to at least help him find the bones of this child so that the family can give their beloved brother a decent burial. And LBM being a political party that is associated with cry of those that denied equal treatment in our independent Namibia.
Inspector General of the Namibian Police Force, Joseph Shikongo, today officiated the basic training for officer cadets at the Ruben Danger Ashipala Police Training Center in Ondangwa. The training started on the 1st of August. Shikongo indicated that recruitment comes at a time when that force needs more manpower. He urged the trainees to remain disciplined during their training. The training will see 842 officers trained for the next 9 months. Let's take a look.
We have decided that the Inspector General should come here knowing that I'm going to talk to the police officers. You can see them there on the parade today, that they are ready to save the nation. They are ready, they understand why they are here. But if I could have come on day number 1, I would have spoken to people that are still feeling, no, this is our democratic right, why should you come in front of us and start telling us all this nonsense? But I think by now they know exactly, they are here today to receive the commands, to receive the directions of this organization. You can see them there, they are very quiet, silent, well disciplined. But if it was on day number 1, you could hear them, some of them are still receiving cell phone, some of them are doing ABCD, and then we decided, let us give them time, so that when we go to them, we know we are going to talk to police officers. And I'm also very proud to indicate that many of the women that you see on the parade today, these were taken or were withdrawn from different regions of our country, from different constituencies of our country. Today, the parade here is representing the demographic of our republic. They are taken from all the 14 regions. We believe that no region is better than the other. All the regions, the country, 14 regions, they are all equal. And therefore, we give them the same equal treatment. What happened during the recruitment? We have decided, of course, there were some number of complaints from some regions, such as Kars region, Hatap regions, Kunene, Kavango West, Ochozondupa, and Omaheke. Whereas Inspector General, I directed the head of human resources by then to go to the regions and rectify probably few things that were there, or explain to the community the misunderstanding that would have been persisted at that particular time. And we believe that the conclusion indeed was that representation of all our people are here to join the parade.
Now, Bank Windhoek customer Nicholas Ndafendiva is fighting back tooth and nail against a liquidation order made against his late brother's estate, claiming that the bank is being impatient as far as the settlement of his brother Patrick Ndafendiva's estate is concerned. Now, according to the bank's particulars of the claim, Patrick Ndafendiva, who is late, borrowed a mortgage loan for $4,624,000 Namibian dollars in August 2017, repayable over 20 years for a property situated in Hochland Park. The bank claims that he defaulted on paying the agreed installments from October 2022 until February 2023, which had put him in areas of $195,395.30. The bank deemed this as a breach of the contract's terms and conditions. Regarding Nicholas, the bank claims that it offered an overdraft loan to him for $4,611,000 Namibian dollars in May 2022, subject to interest at the prime lending rate of the bank, with their overdraft set to expire on the 15th of November 2022. Furthermore, the commercial bank alleges that Nicholas breached the agreement by failing to pay the full outstanding balance after demands were made. In the end, he owes the bank an amount of 4,825,556.71 Namibian dollars. Now, hitting out against Bank Windhoek, Dafe Ndiva claimed that a recent Informante article was creating the wrong impression of his banking conduct. Now, moving on, various types of drugs valued at more than 3.5 million Namibian dollars were seized last month, while police arrested 135 suspects in connection with the drug-related crimes. Of these, 129 suspects are Namibians, while 2 Angolians, a Tanzanian, a South African, a Sudanese, and a Zimbabwean national were also arrested. According to the drug seizure and arrest report issued for August, drugs worth 3.546 million were seized. This included 250,135 kilograms of cannabis valued at 2.5 million Namibian dollars, 747 Mandrax tablets worth 89,640 Namibian dollars, 110 units of crack cocaine worth 11,000 Namibian dollars, 11,887 kilograms of cocaine powder to the value of 943 Namibian dollars, and 1 straw of teak valued at 240 Namibian dollars. Moving on, Dande Precious Metals announced that it is taking steps to investigate what its employees and residents of Tsumeb are experiencing. According to the company's spokesperson, Alina Garises, certain employees reported symptoms of nausea and vomiting around mid-August, presumably due to a problem with the town's drinking water. In December last year, a similar incident was reported by Dundee when the quality of drinking water did not meet certain specifications. The government body responsible for Tsumeb's drinking water was immediately informed, and the company started to supply drinking water to our employees on site, Garises elaborated. Now, getting into our story of the day. Between August 2022 and June 2023, Namibia recorded 623 deaths by suicide. Health Minister Dr. Kalumbi Shangula revealed that 82% of these deaths were adult men, 15% were adult women, and 3% were children. The Namibian police announced 3 more suicides that occurred over the weekend. The ministry today commemorated Suicide Prevention Day, which takes place on the 10th of September each year, and said no single effort will make a difference. Instead, calling for collaborative action, the ministry has prioritized mental health and a new mental health theme that will revolutionize the approach and management of mental health in the final stages of development. It will be introduced in Parliament in due course, Shangula said.
It's a pleasure to be here with you to commemorate the World Suicide Prevention Day. The 2023 World Suicide Prevention Day is being commemorated under the theme, Creating Hope Through Action. This theme guides us to take action as stakeholders and active members of public to create hope for everyone around us. Suicide is a major public health problem with far-reaching social, emotional, and economic consequences. As you have heard from the previous speakers, more than 700,000 people die every year due to suicide. And for every suicide, there are many more people who attempted suicide. And a prior suicide attempt is an important risk factor for for suicide in the general populations. Over 77% of global suicide occurred in low and middle income countries in 2019. Scientific data has shown that there is an association between suicide and mental disorders, such as depression and alcohol-induced disorders.
Getting into our community talk, Tobias Toby is a 21-year-old student from the Namibia University of Science and Technology. He helps his father to sell some items along the road on weekends in Katutura. Toby says this can help youth in Namibia stay away from harmful and dangerous situations. Let's take a look.
My name is Tobias, and then I'm 21 years old. I'm schooling at NUST. I'm in Namibian University of Technology. I'm studying procurement and supply chain management.
Okay, when did you begin and how is that going?
Like I started like last year, and then I'm finishing next year. To help my father since the whole of the week is the one who is used to be busy here, and then we get time on weekend to help him.
Okay, so you help him to sell, and what are you selling exactly?
Like for now, we are only selling fruits, sweets, and a chakalaka, and yeah, that's all.
Okay, and why do you think this is important that you're here, and motivation maybe to other youth in Namibia?
Since the youth of today, we are almost immense with alcohol and drug. This will help us like to stay away from those things that we end up like going to do unnecessary things that are not allowed in the community. And then since sometime during the week, we get money for our taxi to go to school every time.
Getting into our economic news, as of the 28th of August 2023, foreign exchange reserves were 10 times more than the currency in circulation. International reserves stood at $53.1 billion Namibian, while the currency in circulation was recorded at $4.9 billion Namibian, according to the Bank of Namibia. The member states in which the South African rand circulates should maintain foreign reserves equal to or in excess of the currency in circulation. The members of the Common Monetary Area include South Africa, Namibia, Lesotho, and Eswatini. Let's take a look at our economic indicators. The Namibian dollar trades against the British pound at 23.57, against the euro at 20.26, against the US dollar at 18.87. 2 Namibian dollars and 59 cents gets you 1 Chinese yuan. On the commodities market, copper went down while gold, platinum, and Brent crude oil went up. Brent crude oil trading at 0.39%, going for $91.04 per barrel. After this short break, we get into your international news. Getting into our international news, the Eurozone economy will grow slower than previously expected this year and next, the European Commission forecast earlier today, as consumer demand suffers from high inflation and the biggest economy, Germany, slips into recession this year. Let's take a look.
The EU economy has lost momentum since spring. The latest data confirmed that the EU economy avoided recession last winter. This is no mean feat, given the magnitude of the shocks that we have faced, and is also a testimony to the effectiveness of our common policy response. However, economic activity stalled in the second quarter, and survey indicators point to further weakening in the coming months. Stagnation of private consumption shows that high consumer prices for most goods and services have been taking a heavier toll than expected, despite declining energy prices and continued expansion of employment and rising wages.
Now we move to the question of Jan Disteldorf, who is joining us online.
In Germany, GDP over the first half of the year was significantly weaker than previously expected. Declines in real wages weighed on consumptions, while external demand led to subdued exports. On an annual basis, the German economy is now projected to shrink by 0.4% in 23, a significant downward revision from the 0.2 growth projected in the spring forecast.
The United Nations Right Chief earlier today blamed Russia's exit from the Black Sea grain deal as well as its attacks on agricultural facilities for higher food prices that have been particularly damaging in the Horn of Africa. Russia quit the UN-brokered grain deal aimed at easing a global food crisis in July. Now, Ukraine has accused Russia of intentionally striking grain terminals and infrastructure in the Black Sea port of Odessa and elsewhere. In some cases, Russian state media have claimed the facilities were housing mercenaries and military hardware without providing any evidence.
A year and a half of horrific warfare has ravaged Ukraine with heart-wrenching toll on its people and damage to vast areas of agricultural land. The Russian Federation's withdrawal from the Black Sea Grain Initiative in July and attacks on grain facilities in Odessa and elsewhere have again forced prices sky high in many developing countries, taking the right to food far out of reach for many people. The repugnant series of some 30 incidents of burning the Quran recently is the latest manifestation of this urge to polarize and fragment, to create divisions within societies and between countries. I will discuss this in more detail on the 6th of October in line with Resolution 53/1. As my office highlighted a year ago, the concerns in the Xinjiang UER require strong remedial action by the authorities as per our recommendations. I also remain troubled by the continued detention of human rights advocates. I'm shocked by the nonchalance that becomes apparent in the face of more than 2,300 people reported dead or missing in the Mediterranean this year, including the loss of more than 600 lives in a single shipwreck off Greece in June. It is evident that far more migrants and refugees are dying unnoticed in the seas around Europe, including the Channel, in the Bay of Bengal, and in the Caribbean, where people seeking protection are constantly pushed back and deported to situations of grave danger. Or along the US-Mexican border, where deportations and expedited removal processes raise serious issues. Or at the border of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, where my office is seeking urgent clarification about allegations of killings and mistreatment.
Let's get into our sports news with Brian Munango.
Well, good day, viewers. On today's Sunset News, brought to you by the Sports Rep team. Well, the Debmarine Premier League was launched this morning at the NFA Soccer House in Windhoek. The league has been sponsored to a tune of 18 million by Debmarine. 16 clubs will be competing for the covered trophy starting this weekend. Games will be played all over the country. So we are all excited for the Premier League to make its way back. And also we have Alistair Coetzee, who speaks of Namibia, who will be taking on New Zealand, that is the All Blacks, in their game on Friday. And this is what Alistair Coetzee had to say about the game.
Building sort of steps for us getting to a final game, I suppose, without targeting the last game. But we're growing as a team. We need to put more 20 minutes together, like we've done in the first 20 minutes against Italy, maybe not conceding yellow cards, working on the discipline, cutting out soft moments in the game, like an overthrow. Obviously, it wasn't the regular hooker. It wasn't Torsten, then it was Richard, as we had him as a backup plan, but getting those players in difficult situations also to be accurate. So that was a soft try. The the yellow card also, lent to the fact that we conceded a more try. So if he could, that's the stepping stones, cutting out those soft moments, going through that first 20 and winning the first 20. I think these are lessons that we learn in order to be better and at our best when we get to our last match of the tournament. Look, the All Blacks are one hell of a challenge. We all know that. Let's understand, we have to go there and be very good and smart about our basics. We've got to be really accurate at set piece, because that's where the pressure would come from. We want to earn the respect, of any opposition we play against, and I'm sure the players, they know when you play against an All Black side, those guys really have a lot of time for you, and they respect you once you don't give up and you keep fighting. And I suppose that's our aim for this weekend. We've got to make sure that we are very competitive. If we have chances, we've got to convert, and that is what we're thinking of, our process. The results is just a consequence of how we prepare and how well we can play. Look, after any loss in a test match, you cannot dwell too much on the past. We've looked at our positives today. I'm really pleased with the effort. Obviously, the results didn't show that, but there were plenty of positives. So we're focusing on the next match. So next for us is really to be as best as we can, and we're up against one of the top sides in world rugby. The New Zealanders are obviously hurting as well, and they will come out. The big thing for me is to make sure that the belief stays in the team, believe in our systems and what we've planned. We've got to execute that better, and when we throw punches and they put pressure on us, we just make sure that we have something to counter punch with and keep punching. We still had lots of opportunities which we didn't convert into points, so that's something that we're really trying to fix for this coming week.
Well, that's all that we have for you from the Sports Desk. It is goodbye.
Before we sign off, let's get into the news highlights from today's broadcast. Various types of drugs valued at more than $3.5 million were seized last month, while police arrested 135 suspects in connection with drug-related crimes. Inspector General of the Namibian Police Force, Joseph Chikongo, today officiated the basic training for officer cadets at the Ruben Denje Ashipala Police Training Center in Ondangwa. The training started on the 1st of August. The Debmarine Premier League was launched this morning at the NFA Soccer House in Windhoek. The league has been sponsored to the tune of $18 million by Debmarine. And with that, we've come to the end of our broadcast. Make sure you join Sunset News on Facebook, on all the Animate platforms on weekdays, as well as on our website, 102.com. Sunset News screens